facing head-on the emotions beneath the surface as we bridge from an old world of confusion and lack to a beautiful new world of freedom, abundance, and love with straightforward truth and inspired hope is what you'll find on The Charla Anderson Show. Collector and connector of fascinating people. And everyone is fascinating. Here's your host, Charla Anderson.
Good, beautiful day, you beautiful, beautiful souls. This is Charla Anderson, host of the Charla Anderson Show, collector and connector of fascinating people, and everyone is fascinating, especially you. I'm so excited that you would join me today, that you would listen to, join us, that we're on podcast and all the streaming services, and just honored beyond measure that you would take time and take a listen, because I want to offer you hope and inspiration and amazing, amazing guests that really are going to do that with us today. Today, I have someone beautiful, Patricia Barnett, and I'm going to introduce her a little bit more in a moment, right after we do our initial little breathing exercise. It's about 22 seconds of a mini vacation. Join me as we breathe in 7 seconds of calm. We'll hold for 4 seconds and then breathe out 11 seconds of gratitude. So thank you for joining me here. And let's just breathe in our calm and get settled. Here we go. Hold. Relax, release. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So I like to get a little centering right in the beginning here, because, we're busy, right? We're all in this crazy world of electronics and technology that works sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't. That's when we need that, that breathing exercise, when it doesn't work. Anyway, this is a special day to me because I met Patricia Barnett at Ashley Torian's beautiful gathering in International Women's Day gathering in Texas a few weeks ago, and I just love her. And we kind of hit it off and realized we have very similar mindset, about why not be happy, right? So Patricia Barnett is an amazing entrepreneur and a leader, an incredible transformational coach. And so, Patricia, I just will really thank you for being here. And I want to thank you for just honoring me with your presence today and sharing your story and your wisdom. So tell us about who is Patricia Barnett, and then we'll talk a bit about what you do.
Thank you, Charla. I'm really thrilled to be here. Always happy to speak about what we're going to be speaking about today, really how to go from where we are to where we would really love to be in our personal lives or professional lives, wherever that may be. And, who am I? I am a lifelong student of personal development, of human potential. I am, as you mentioned, a leader, and leading those to live a life in which they would absolutely love living. And to reach that point, it is about being able to know how to go beyond where we are in this moment. And I'm a teacher, I'm a speaker, I'm an author and creator of programs in helping people really elevate their lives. I'm also a wife, I'm a mother, and now I'm a grandmother of 2 grandsons, Caden and Cole, and I have so many loves in my life, and for sure, new loves that breathes light into my life. And so I am, a real, I'm passionate. My mission is to really be that light for others, to share the light and to share those wisdoms based upon my personal life experiences. So when you're speaking about overcoming and how we can rise up and, go beyond, I have a history of rising above, going beyond in various, areas of my life, and almost every area of my life. And that's why I'm really thrilled to be here today with you. Message of hope, not just a message of hope, but a message of inspiration, as you mentioned, and elevation. This is about the opportunity of empowerment, because when we are empowered, that is where we have our point of power to be able to elevate, rise above, and go beyond. So thank you for the opportunity to be here together with you. And thank you for the introduction. It is such a joy. And when we met, like, love at first sight, Charla. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be here together with you today.
I am so grateful. And I want to know, I mean, you just exude joy and hope and inspiration. And, I mean, that's who you are. Was it always that way? Were you born that way? Were you a child that way? Were you?
I love that question, because I think, and what I believe is, yes, I was born that way. I think we are all born that way. We're born with this innocence. We're born with this joy within us. We're born with this bliss. We're born with the eyes of a child, childlike wonder in this beautiful life, right? We come in all shiny and polished. And then what happens is life, life, and our circumstances and how we grow up. And have I always been optimistic? I would say that certainly I remember when I was little having that childlike wonder, having that, interest and enthusiasm for life. And so I think that it's been there. I do also know that times in my life in which I was not very optimistic, in times in my life where it looked like, all I could see is not even the glass half empty. It looked like my glass was totally empty. And so there have been times in my life and overcoming situations in my life that then this idea of how to be optimistic, tools in how to create this joy. It's a muscle. I found it to be a muscle. I think we all have it. It's very funny when we think about muscles. I remember being in a gym one day with a coach, right? Working out. And this coach said, really, feel your abs, your abdomen, feel your abs, Patricia, just feel them getting stronger. And I paused and I said, no, I don't have abs. You don't understand. That's why I'm here. I don't have them. My coach said to me, oh, Patricia, you were born with them. We're here to develop them. Of course you have them. You just can't see them. And what I have found is that this optimism, we're all born with it. It's inside of us. This happiness quotient, it's inside of us. It's a matter of developing, just like a muscle, developing it. And that is what I have dedicated myself to now be known as this very optimistic, very joy-filled, very bliss-filled, and always seeing in any circumstance the high side, the high road, the light within it, the opportunity within it, because this is what I've learned, this is what I've discovered, this is what I've uncovered, and this is what I have found makes a major, absolutely categorically difference in living life itself. So thank you for the question. And the quick answer is no, it has not always been like this. And I can remember times in which it was doomsday for sure, like the sky was falling and I was in the midst of it. And no, I didn't see happy, shiny rainbows and unicorns during that time. And now I do. Mm-hmm.
I think I was very optimistic as well growing up. I mean, just happy generally. I don't need drugs. I'm naturally high, that kind of thing in high school, just kind of like that. And, I would say it's permanent, but it's not constant. Does that make sense? I had a split second moment of transformation from bitterness to joy. And in the beginning, I recognized I didn't know that it was permanent. Mm-hmm. When you transform, it is permanent, but there's still the muscle, the learning curve, right? So went from bitterness to joy in one split second. And how many years later, 15, 20, I don't know. A lot of years later, I know that it's permanent. We just have to play, massage it through and just get better at it because it is a muscle. And so I'll say I call myself outrageously optimistic. Outrageously optimistic. And do you have people that call you Pollyanna or pie in the sky, or who do you think you are? And, why are you always so happy? What's your take on that? Because I know I do.
Really great question, because, as what I'll call a leader of the light, and I work with leaders of the light, whatever that means, it means that we are here to be that beacon of hope, and even beyond a beacon of hope, be that beacon of light to bring a presence of knowingness that all is well, that even in the midst of everything that's happening in our world today, or whatever's happening in someone's life today, that what I know to be sure, what I know to be true, is that there is good in it to the degree in which we would be willing to see it. So where I really live at a very high, what I'll call frequency, high happiness quotient, live in a world where, yes, everything I see in a certain way, I have these eyes now that I see things in a way that not everyone does. And that, quite frankly, not everyone is ready for. So if I'm coming in all happy, even if, it looks like the clouds are in the sky, and I'm coming in as this big ray of sunshine, sometimes it's not a match when someone's really down in the depths. And I'm aware of that. But even if it can help bring them up just a notch, just one notch, then they're elevating. And so where some people, it can be a bit much. I was in a meeting last week where I was speaking about and reporting about how great life is. And really, even in the midst of where we are, how beautiful it is, because it's sometimes in the breakdowns, and I believe almost every time in the breakdowns, where we have then the opportunity to break through. So I was speaking about this, and I could see someone that was really resisting this good news of the day. And so it's sometimes not a match if somebody's really feeling way, way, way low. And I can understand that, and I temper it, but it's not to dim myself. Is to understand it and help to bring them up. And so it's not about Pollyannish. I love that you asked this question, this idea of a positive attitude. It was about 25 or 30 years ago that I went to a seminar, and it was all about having a positive attitude. And I thought, okay, I'll just slap on a smile and I'll pretend that I'm happy. I'll pretend that I'm positive. And all the while inside of me, I was not. And so back then, the idea was slap on a smile because eventually you will be happy. But this Pollyannish, pretending to be happy, positive attitude, it's more than that. It's not just a positive attitude. It's not just about pretending. It's not just about motivating ourselves to have this, yes, it's a great day. It's about total transformation, step by step by step, to really know this is a great day, even in the midst of some of the most daunting times. And that's how I found this, is through some of the most daunting times in my life. That's how I discovered this. So yes, people sometimes, well, it's just, you must be in denial if you're just positive, because could it really be that good? Well, when you work 25 years or more and get to this mastery level, then yes, indeed it is. And I'm aware of all the darkness. I'm aware of all the circumstances. I'm aware of all the uncertainty. And that's why I'm here to help people build those muscles. But sometimes people resist that much, and that's okay. Even if they just get a glimmer of hope, and the idea is just be open. Because where we are when we're down in the depths or in the trenches or in the quicksand, this is the way out, is just simply shifting ourselves to be open to the light.
The way I say it, where we are is all we have. I mean, even if you're in the gutter, this is all you have right now. And now is a big word for you, I think. So right now is all we have to speak a different word, to take a different step. If you don't like where you are, you don't have any place else to start from, but right here, right now, right? And where else is there? I mean, we don't have yesterday, last week, last minute, last generation. Everything since Let There Be Light has orchestrated itself to have you and me in this split second of time, in this moment in time, to have this conversation. How many things could have, I mean, your grandparents not meeting would have had a little different outcome here. So we can't change any of that. And it's all choice, by the way. I think people don't understand that they get to choose whether they're happy or not happy. They get to choose how they perceive those things going on, right?
Well, Charla, you bring up a great point, because no, people don't generally know this. We're not conditioned to believe or know or understand how our choices create our destiny. And we tend to wait for circumstances to be a certain way before then we're okay. We tend to, as human beings, or at least I did, I'll just speak for myself, I won't speak for all human beings, but I tended to need for things to be in a certain way before then I was okay. And it's actually the opposite. This is where we have the point of power, as you mentioned, in this moment, but the power to choose. Would we look at this as a gift, or will we look at this as a failure? Will we look at this as feedback? How will we look at it? And there's a quote by Wayne Dyer that I absolutely love, right? Change the way we look at things, and the things we look at change. And it's transformational. I mean, it is like magic when we change the way we look at things. So when we can just simply be open to wondering, could there be a gift in this for me? And I remember, Charla, when I was 8 years old, my father told me a story about, and I don't know, and I don't believe this was a real story, but he said at the time, there were two scientists doing research on identical twins. And these identical twins, the scientists put them in two separate rooms, but the conditions were the same. And these little boys, they were 8 years old. I was 8 years old. And they were put into two rooms, each of them in a room filled with horse manure, all the way to their chins. And so the scientists were in a one-way window or a mirror where the children didn't know the scientists were looking, but the scientists went to look at the first little boy, and the little boy was so upset, just like punching the manure and just like looking at the heavens like, why did you do this to me? And angry and furious and just red-faced, so upset. And they thought, since these boys were identical twins, that when they went to the second room, they would see the same thing. But what they saw, to their surprise, was in the second room, this little boy was happy, like looking up at the heavens like, yes, this is my lucky day, moving through the manure, making tunnels through the manure, just happy as can be. And when they pulled the boys out and they questioned each boy, they said to the first boy, what was your experience? And he said, what do you mean? You put me in a room filled with manure. It is the worst day of my life. I can't even believe you did it. I am so upset and I am so angry. And when they went to the second boy and they asked that second boy, what was your experience? And he said, are you kidding? It's my lucky day. With all of this horse manure, there's got to be a pony in here somewhere. Like this was his lucky day. And why I love that story, and I had forgotten that story. When my father told me at 8 years old that story, I think he was probably sharing it because I may have been acting like that first boy that day about something. But I had forgotten the story until I was in my mid-20s. And in my mid-20s, I was feeling like that first boy in some circumstances that I was facing. And although my father had passed away when I was 18, I was in this manure. And what I have found in times in my life when I have felt like I've been in manure is to remember that it doesn't have to be. There can be a pony in here somewhere. And when I was in my mid-20s and that story came back to me, that was a turning point. And it's a tool that I use. What could be the gift here? Because when we look for the gifts, we will find them. And then as my life progressed and when I was facing a life-challenging situation and I had a coach I was working with, and I was angry to have a diagnosis, that was one I hadn't planned on and one that turned out to be life-threatening. My coach said, look for the good. Embrace this. Don't fight it. Look for the good. And so that message has continued to stay with me. And what I know for sure is that there is good in every challenge, in everything that comes our way, to the degree in which we would be open to see. And when we're open to see what the gifts could be, that's our point of transformation. That's our promotion. That is our time in which we rise above and go beyond. And that is our time. It's almost when the gates open and we're free. And so that's been a helpful tool along the pathway of my journey, is recognizing that there could be a gift. And if there were, wow, what would that be? Because there is a gift in every day and in every way. So this has been significant for me. And to your point, it's how we look at things, the choice we make. Would we be willing to believe that could be possible? And if so, what would that look like? And in that, every choice we make creates our destiny. Everything we think, choice we make, action we take, takes us to the future we're creating even now.
Well, my little split-second transformation book, every word matters. And, we think they don't. So when we curse or damn or even tired, anything that you say, I am, is who you are. It's who you are. When you say I am, it's who you are. And so, or, you say it enough, it's who you become. And so every word matters. And when something came to me about empathy, you said you find something, you have to temper it sometimes. And that's a blessing, right? So it doesn't mean we don't ever get sad. It doesn't mean we don't ever have pain or sadness or bad circumstances. Mm-hmm. But so we do that, right? We do recognize when we do have some sadness. I mean, my sister passed, there's sadness. We're not happy that those things happen, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But we're comfortable with ourselves enough we love ourselves enough to know that we can work, we will come through that, right? Mm.
Indeed. The idea of you losing your sister, and blessings to you. And we know the legions of angels with your sister. She is amongst them. And this idea of, yes, we will feel change, right? Change and sadness, and we will feel emotions. And so this idea is to not press down the emotions to try to stay happy. It's about how to be with those emotions, to allow them to emerge, to then open the flow, to then return to joy. And so, I speak about happiness and this idea around happiness. There is really, when we think about frequency, I look at happiness as a frequency. It's an emotion, but when we look at the scale of frequency, as you mentioned, every word matters. Every emotion has a frequency. And so happiness has a higher frequency than blame or shame or, judgment or criticism. Happiness has a higher frequency. And there are even greater frequencies, higher frequencies above happiness. So when we really get to that fulfillment and joy and bliss and just love, there is more than happiness in and of itself. And so when I look at this, it's about frequency. And what I know to be true in everyone I have ever worked with, when I've asked them, what is it that they would love in their life? Not one person has said, I would love more hard times. I would love more struggle. I would love more blame. I would love more shame. I would love more fights. I would love more, doubt and worry and fear. I would love more of that. No, everyone, every single person I have ever worked with has said, I would love more happiness. I would love more fun. I would love more expansion. I would love more gratitude. I would love more of all those higher frequencies. And so here's the real, or a gift, a real powerful concept to think about, is that those dreams that we have and those dreams that are dreaming us, they live in a frequency. And we want to check ourselves and ask, what frequency are we in? And if we're in a frequency of sadness or grief or anything that what I call below the line, we want to reach out, get support and help to understand how to move through that, not just pretend to be happy so that we can get the prize in the Cracker Jack box, but how can we move through this to elevate ourselves? Because that life is lived on this frequency that if we're living here and we would love all the results living here, well, the pathway to it is to bring ourselves up to match that, to meet that. It's not just when we get here, then we will be. No, we be it and then we will live it. So the sadness, we will all have sad times. And in the sadness, it is not to, negate it. Speaking to the coach that I was working with when I had the diagnosis, his recommendation, he said, go in and feel it. Go in and be mad. Go in and be sad. Go in and cry. And basically he said, and he meant it, he said, go have a pity party. But he wasn't being sarcastic. He was saying, go in and feel it. Take your time out, go in your bedroom, draw the shades, yell, scream, be mad. And Charla, I did it. I went in and I felt it. I was angry. I was upset. And I was in the why me? And how did this happen to me? And it wasn't supposed to happen to me. And where is this, because I had really made it to the top in business. And then it felt like my life was crashing down with a diagnosis. And I went in and it wasn't long, Charla. It wasn't too long. It didn't take too long to really get that out, but then to also recognize if I lived much longer like that, my husband wouldn't want to be around me. It wouldn't be helpful long term. And so just like with any party, there's a beginning and I made sure there was an end. And when I ended that party, I knew that I had gotten everything out and then I was ready to rise above and go beyond. Mm-hmm.
You've touched on something, I want to mention something you said that when I said my sister, because when I learned or thought about this, so people who are in the throes of someone losing people, they're, we all do. And it's hard. It's sad. But when I recognized that she was literally dancing with angels and her laughter could be heard all over the country when she laughed. She was very well known. And not only would she be dancing with angels, all knowledge. Can you imagine having every answer, no more questions? So I just kind of went back over to that because I just think people don't recognize that little piece of it when you can know that you're, in paradise with all knowledge. It's kind of a cool thing. Anyway, so I want to go back to your story of this, this horrible diagnosis. And somebody gave me the term, I'm a clearing for miracles. And I feel like, when you shift, upset draws upset, people, anger draws more anger, hate draws more things to hate. So that's why when we speak our words, it's really important. And so I think you're talking about that in this diagnosis that you were, you're on the top of the world, you're going along, and all of a sudden, whoop, life happens and it puts you kind of put the brakes on. I met a man I haven't met him, but there was a gentleman that I'm a Zig Ziglar legacy certified trainer. And this gentleman was on the Monday morning devotional call this last week. He had at age 15, over 90% of his body burned, and he's, scars and skin. He says, I'm not even in my own skin. You can't be comfortable in my own skin because it's not mine. Anyway, funny guy and great jokes about it. 33 years later, he says the best thing that ever happened to him, because we are not our skin suit, right? We are spirit. And anyway, I just admired him so much because he has humor, and he doesn't have all his fingers. He says, but I got these. I'm grateful for these. And so when we look at that, and that sounds to me like how you handled it, you got in, and I love that you went in and you let yourself feel the anger, feel it, live it for that start and end. I love that analogy of the party. It starts and ends, pity party. End your pity party, please, you guys out there. I'm done with it. So that was a great example of your life, and you thinking about, if I'm going to be so upset and so negative, then nobody's going to want to be around me. And there's no doubt about the science around people surviving because their attitude and their choice to do that. Mm-hmm. So thank you for that lesson.
Well, and I'd like to say that it's something that I just knew innately, and maybe I did. However, I had worked with a coach in business. And when we think about overcoming, I worked with this coach, not having a formal education in college. I didn't have a college degree. I didn't have experience in business. I didn't have experience in this particular industry, and decided that I was going to enter into it and I was going to make it to the top. And this came after a period of my life in which I was very dissatisfied. This happened when it looked like, the bottom had dropped out and there was no way to go other than up. And so I was at a bottom, and I decided that, to your point, this is what I have right now. It didn't look like I could really go any lower, although I'm sure I could have. But in this moment, it was like a decision. It's possible. And if it's possible, I'm doing it. And so I did. Worked with a coach. In a very short period of time, went to the top in a particular company and went to the top in an entire industry. And that's when I was, living La Vida Loca. And this coach had been a champion football player and Super Bowl champion and football player, and coached under Don Shula, Miami Dolphins. So he knew a lot about mindset. He knew a lot about performance. He knew a lot about what you're speaking to, right? What we think about, we bring about. He knew a lot about discipline. He knew a lot about how to get in there and create results. So I was very blessed to have worked with him to create results, to make it to the top of the heap. And when the diagnosis came, and it did look like it came out of the blue because I had no idea it was coming. And that's when it looked like, the rug got pulled out from under me, and it looked like everything was tumbling down upon me. And I was scratching my head really like, how does this happen? I get to the top, but then the bottom falls out. And what I found, and in working with my coach and coming to him and saying, okay, these are the set of results. And what my husband noticed is that, wait a minute, we can apply the same formula. There's a formula. We can apply the same formula that we made it to the top in this arena, and we take it to this next arena. And so my husband was integral in helping me identify, once a doctor said to me, you better go home and pray for a miracle. My husband, sensing how this landed on me, which was like a whole bucket of ice cold water. And my husband saying, no, wait a minute, are you going to buy into that? Or are you going to decide what it looks like on the other side of this? That's part of the formula in business, in everything, really. And it was in that moment, oh my goodness, I would decide, my God is in the miracle business, so I'm in good shape. Even if I had 0% chance, I still have a chance. So that is where I was able to make this shift. And by making the shift, using the formula, moving through this breakdown and breaking through and making it to the other side. And not only making it to the other side, people would say, I hope that you survive. And my reaction, my reply, my response was always, I don't want to survive. I don't want to survive this. I don't want to be a survivor. Survivor means you come in, the bottom drops out, and you make it to the other side at the same point in which you went in. I did not want to be a survivor. I decided that I was going to be a thriver, that I came in, bottom dropped out, and because of this, I would then leapfrog and rise above and go beyond and become better, that I would become. It's not what happens to us, it's who we become by the means of these situations that we have the opportunity and get the opportunity to live through. And so it was in that moment, and you're exactly right, where I was able to take these formulas, take the mindset, take these tools and apply them. And it was through this time in my life that I realized this formula can be used in any and every part of our life, financially, in our health, in relationships with ourselves, and for sure in living a life we love and achieving all it is that we would love to achieve. But it's more than just achieving. It's literally living all that we are meant to live, all that we are here to be. So it really is such a beautiful opportunity. And I am blessed. You mentioned about the gentleman that was burned, and he said it's the best thing that ever happened. This particular, and I can look back. And when we do look back, kind glance, when we do glean the gold out of each one of these circumstances, then we see gift after gift after gift. One of the best things that ever happened in my life.
So if God can create it, he can heal it. That's my mantra. I mean, surely, obviously, this incredible creation that we have, it can be healed. And it's a choice of a mindset. Once again, I believe so much. And the choice of choosing health, choosing to speak what you want, not what you don't want, so very much. And in the meantime, Patricia, how do people find you? You've got programs called Elevate and 7 steps to success system for elevating your results in business and in life, and to create a life that you absolutely love living. I mean, who doesn't want that? So how can people find you? What is your favorite thing to share and end with?
Well, I love that. And thank you so much, because it is about, let's continue the conversation. Let's stay connected. Let's keep the conversation going, because especially in a time like this, I am here to provide. I'm here to be of service to help people through these times, and not only through the most challenging times or daunting times, but many times people, have hit a ceiling. They've risen above and gone beyond, and they would like to go further. And how do we get past that ceiling? And so I also help people really break through and break free of where they are, even if they're living a life they absolutely love, but they would love more. And how people can find me. Well, I have something here that I would love to be able to gift and give. And in the giving, you will receive my contact information to continue the conversation. But in the giving, it is a guide that I have written. It's the Guide to Happiness. And it's called, it's 7 keys to increasing your happiness starting today. And what we know is that when we increase our happiness, even if it's just a little, we will increase our health. You mentioned health. This is a big deal, especially now, because there's so much on us and upon us. How do we live through it and maintain our frequency, maintain our health, maintain our productivity? And so it's a guide. It's the happiness guide. And by texting the word happiness, just the word happiness, to this phone number, and it's 520-521-1002. By texting the word happiness to 520-521-1002. There will be an opt-in. And when you opt in, not only will you receive the whole guide to happiness that I have written, but you will be connected. You'll receive an email, and then you can email me. I read and I will reply. And if there's anything that you would love to share, if there's anything that you would love to touch base, if you'd like to connect, that's the best way to reach me. And at the same time, you will be given the guide to happiness, where you can begin elevating your happiness starting today. And you will also be set up to know of other things that are coming on the pike. There's a book that I'm writing and will be released this year, and other programs and opportunities to elevate with me personally, that I get to be your guide in elevating this year, coming soon. So that's where you will know what's happening, what's new, and this is how you can stay connected with me too.
That's awesome. So, and your website, patriciabarnett.com is if anyone needs to find you that way.
That's right.
Yeah.
You can find me there, and on social media, Patricia Barnett. And Charla, I think you'll have links. Will you offer links with the replay?
I will, absolutely. When I get this up on Vimeo, then when I get it, I'll edit it and add it to the description.
Perfect.
In the Vimeo. So that'll be fun. This is live, and we can have the dream of Win-Win Women. We're always looking for show hosts, if you know of anybody. But the dream is to actually have it's the world's only interactive platform that we can, actually have question and answer Q&A and enjoy our time together like that. So, when we do have visitors, it's kind of fun, and we can do the Q&A and all that. She didn't, I don't think she could figure out how to unmute her phone. So I'm kind of that way when I'm using my phone on it.
Well, we shall know she received what she came to.
She did
today. Right. Mm-hmm.
And so when you realize, the gifts that you are offering, and when we both tend to just show up and let our light shine, just be the light. Because darkness can't survive if there's one flick of light. And, even when people don't think they want it, they need it, and they will receive. So one of your quotes, I'm going to read it. When the caterpillar sees what the caterpillar sees as the end, the butterfly welcomes as the beginning. I've never considered that. That's your quote, right? That's your writing. And so all of us, none of us are there yet. Nobody gets there wherever there is. We are on a path and a journey. And when we can just love each other through these hard times and love, unconditional forgiveness, not unconditional boundaries, but people, and the harder people are to love, the more they need it. When we can just have grace and peace and joy, and we walk in it, people are very attracted to that. I've made so many friends, like at Aldi's, I'm like, we just start talking, and just because it's just that vibration, that warmth, that energy that we attract. And I'm sure that's the same in your world.
I love that so much, that the harder it is to love a person, the more they need it. And the Dalai Lama, I think, and it's not exact quote, but the idea that, those who are easy to love, well, they're easy to love. Those who are harder to love, they actually teach us greater love. They teach us how to be love itself at a greater amperage, because there are teachers in how to love, even when it looks like we wouldn't want to, or when it looks like they're unlovable. And to your point, that's when they need it most. And so they are great opportunities for us to elevate in the return to love, coming from love. And so when we think about this quote about the caterpillar, it is a quote that I worked with from a very ancient quote. But again, it's through the eyes that I saw this ancient quote that I gave it my thumbprint. And in this, when we can recognize that any ending is a new beginning, that within us, there is a butterfly version of us, even when we're in a caterpillar state. And when we're ready to step into that butterfly self is generally when things are breaking down and when it's getting very, very messy in our life. And that's when it really looks bleak. But even in a caterpillar, right? A caterpillar must turn into mush in the chrysalis phase before it can ever become a butterfly. And through, again, some of my most challenging times, I had a friend who shared with me that this challenge is your opportunity to fly. And when we look at any and every challenge as an opportunity to rise above and go beyond, well, that is our moment of freedom. And that's where the doors open to freedom. And that is that caterpillar that then understands there is an emergence here to step in and to be free and fly. Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. You know, my little 2-year-old granddaughter, we read The Very Hungry Caterpillar quite a bit, and it's such a fun little book. And just realizing that this where we are is not where we have to stay. And so often we get mired in our circumstances and think that this world is so bad. And I'm outrageously optimistic that it's getting better in spite of evidence, right? So evidence is not always accurate on where we're headed. It's just a place to start from. Mm-hmm. So in any final words, what do you want to leave? And I'd love the phone number again, because people remember patriciabarnett.com easier than they will a phone number. So let's have the phone number again.
Happiness, the word happiness, to 520-521-1002. 520-521-1002. And Charla, you talked about how this moment doesn't determine our future. This moment was created by our past, right? This moment was created by where we came from. And so when we see the results of this moment, we can simply recognize, oh, that came from where we were. Today is a new dawn. It is a new day. It is a day of new beginnings. And I'm creating now where I am going, who I am becoming. And who I am becoming comes to be by who I am in this moment. That's why it's so important in this moment to elevate ourselves, because it's not going to happen once we get there. We get there by meeting the opportunity, rising above and going beyond in this day in every way. And I think that the message here today, Charla, is recognizing that the past does not determine our future. We determine our future. Our choices determine our destiny, and that we hold the keys. We hold the keys right here, right now. And if a person didn't know what is next, get that happiness guide, the guide to happiness, that will give you some keys to start with. And from there, an invitation to elevate your life, wherever it is, professionally, personally, that it begins today, and you hold the keys.
Turn them. It's your choice. Put it in the ignition. Let's all just rise up, rise up to your best self. Turn off the media just for a few hours every so often, because it's not helping. Yeah. And it's not going to help your attitude if you're watching the news. I'm just saying.
And Charlotte, just the willingness, just the openness. All we have to do is simply be willing. When I was in the depths, and my coach, who I loved and who helped me tremendously, said, embrace this. I wasn't happy. I wanted to cuss him out on the phone. What do you mean, embrace this? You've got to be kidding me. And so this is foreign for some. It's going to ring some bells of truth for others. It's just simply, I'm asking, lean in. I'm not here to give hope. I don't want you to survive where you are in this moment. I want you to thrive. And I'm asking you to step into my knowingness that today does not have to be your future, that you determine it. Get help, surround yourself, and for sure, just turn yourself to the sunlight, turn yourself to the possibility that this could be different for you. And move that direction. Decide what you would love it to be on the other side, because on the other side of this is where your future resides.
I love that. And
Mm.
amazing. And so, and if you can take a breath, if you can take one breath, whether you're in the gutter or the castle, it doesn't matter. If you can take a breath, you're okay in this moment. In this moment, you're okay to consider a different choice in the next. So thank you so much for being here, Patricia. I'm just so thrilled with this conversation. It's left me with many, just high level nuggets of truth. I mean, just truth. Just be your best. And so I love you so much, and we will certainly be connected. But thank you for joining me today so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Charla.
The Charla Anderson Show, collector and connector of fascinating people, and especially Patricia, and especially you. And so, and I just want to remind you to always remember to choose joy. Blessings to you.
Blessings. Bye-bye.
Parting is such sweet sorrow. The Charla Anderson Show, encouraging you to stand strong and courageous with bold faith, no fear, immense hope, kindness, and love, especially towards yourself. Visit charlaanderson.com for replays, blogs, and more on her ever-expanding website, as well as watch her live TV show on winwinwomen.tv, Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And so that we can continue learning together and growing this community of beautiful souls, we invite you to share the Charla Anderson Show with your circle of friends. Until we meet again next week, remember always, choose joy.